Revelation 2790. From the 28th of June 1943. Thought, dependent on will. Thoughts form themselves according to the human will, and therefore the human being is also responsible for his thoughts. As soon as the human being observes himself, he will recognize that his thoughts follow the path prescribed by his will, that he therefore ejects thoughts which are unpleasant to him and stays longer with those thoughts which are pleasing to him. And thus human will is decisive, and this again, depending on the will towards the world or the spiritual kingdom, is wrong or right before God. And therefore God can let the events come over the human being no matter how sorrowful. It depends on the human will alone how he receives it and whether it brings about a change in his thinking. The adversity and tribulation in the world should lead people back to God, that is, their thoughts should be directed towards relieving their fellow human beings' distress, to call upon God for help and to fulfill the divine will at all times. But people become increasingly hardened, and even the most severe suffering is unable to change them. For their thoughts are only directed towards earthly matter. Other thoughts certainly approach the human being, but he does not accept them. His will rejects them and holds on to such thoughts which are spiritually of little use to him, for he loves the world and also constantly lets his thoughts revolve around this earthly world. If the thought of God comes close to him, he rejects it instead of seizing it and seriously dealing with his Creator and relating world events to the individual's life and his attitude towards God. The impermanence of earthly possessions and the death of fellow human beings, which constantly confronts him, should distract his thoughts from earthly things and point him to eternity, yet he drops all emerging thoughts of it again, or he resists them, and that is what he will one day have to answer for. His will strives towards the world and his thinking always remains in the same direction. And this is the state of the whole of humanity, apart from a few who take refuge in God in their greatest misery and commend themselves to Him and His grace. Few no longer desire anything from this world and strive towards the spiritual kingdom. Yet the majority cannot be dissuaded from earthly thinking even by the worst events, which is why the adversity and tribulation cannot yet come to an end. People's spiritual law requires it, and the wrong thinking shall still be changed by it, because no other change can be achieved, and time is pressing, for it is approaching its end. And therefore much suffering will still have to pass over earth, so that people will free themselves from their love of matter, so that they will overcome earth and strive for spiritual possessions, so that they will make use of the last time they have left until the final decision. Amen.